JD reports earnings tomorrow pre-market. So we really don't do videos a whole lot about stocks the night before prior to their earnings call in the morning, but we're going to use JD as sort of an example because they might tell us something, give a little tip of the hat, right, to what Chinese companies feel and kind of take the temperature of the room of how Chinese companies may react to this new administration and these new tariffs and things like that, right? So obviously strong in here all day long for the Chinese stocks. We did a video earlier about BABA today, right? Big $11 move in there. So you had a huge move in here, a low high of 41 to 43, big $2 swing in here. We're up $3 on the day after this gap and go in here, just in JD. But all in all, Chinese stocks all around, big gap, big run today. So what will JD tell us tomorrow with their earnings, right? And we're going to use that and kind of take a temperature of the room in here. So TA wise, we're not really going to dig in a whole lot because we have earnings coming up, so we could get a huge gap and a consolidation down here, or a gap and just a dump, or we could get a gap and go. It's kind of all on the table because it's news based, right? So it depends on what they say and how they say it tomorrow in their earnings call. So TA, we're not really worried, but we're going to use JD. That's the whole reason we're doing this video is we're going to use this and keep this in the back of our head is like, hey, guess what? If JD starts reporting things and they're saying, hey, these tariffs are going to, the reciprocal tariffs are going to start affecting us in this way against these, you know what I mean? And inflation and all this stuff, then perhaps that might give us a little tip to how all the other Chinese companies will react, right, internationally, and how these companies will proceed going forward. So that's why we're looking at JD. But again, what does this do for the stock going into tomorrow? Well, we got around a $4 expected move by next Friday. We closed today at 43.9. So really 48's on the table as well as 39 down here. So as far as our highs, we're just going to keep the nice whole numbers, but really up here, this big 48 level, 47, $48 level, that's going to be our major resistance. So, and that's definitely in our expected move that's priced in by Friday. So after earnings, we could easily get a nice gap and run into that. But also at the same time, we could get a gap down and then we could just dump this thing. And then sooner or later, we'd be down here in this 39 range. Also, we could be at this lower trend line here. So we're going to have to wait and see. But our immediate resistances and supports, we're going to chalk it up to that high of the day in here, 43.9, basically call it 44. That's our first key resistance. We have to see if we're going to gap and go tomorrow off of that, off of the earnings, or how if perhaps we're going to dump, then that will be a major resistance for us. This 9-day EMA is something we're going to care about, 41.63. You got the 40s, this $40 mark in here, and then below that, you got this 38 level in here that we're going to be aware of. So we could either get, some kind of whatever news, and we could just kind of gap down, consolidate, or we might get a little spike in here and then consolidate up here. But you never know. We could just get some big swings in here. But you can see all through January, a little consolidation, right? And then boom, February hits gap, 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 just gaps all the way around here in the daily. And then that was no different today on for gap and go in here, basically all around for the Chinese stocks. So that's what kept the volatility high in here. That's why you have those big dollar moves priced in, right? So a 10% or 10% expected move on a $40 stock, that's pretty good for only a 2-day swing. I know we're carrying earnings, but still, that's still a huge expected move price in here. That's why your volatility is so high. If you go out to your March expirations, you have a $5 expected move. You go all the way out to April expirations, your monthlies, $6.75 expected move priced in. So all in all, again, we have to see what happens in here. Keep this all in the back of your mind as to how the Chinese companies may react to this new administration. TA wise, big move in here. Look for a contraction in your IV, especially if we get a nice dump in here, right? That $40 level, boom. All right, fine. We can set up shop down here, start consolidating, and then banging our way off this 9-day EMA. Or, we might see a little bit of a pop in here and they'll consolidate up here just to suck out the IV, over exhaust ourselves, and then work our way higher. We're going to have to wait and see what happens. But again, earnings pre-market tomorrow in here for JD. All right, guys, if you like this video, make sure to check us out on all of our social media. We also have a Discord service if you're interested, and you can find all of our socials in the description below.